Hey guys, and welcome to part two. In this video, we're going to be going over how to find differences in your data if you modify rows, add columns, and do any other things to your CSV or JSON file, any other form of data that you have. We can use this diff feature to find differences between different versions and different whole data sets if you want. Now, this is part two. We're going to be going over, like I said, adding rows, how to modify rows, and how to select key columns or key feature keys so that you can only find changes in a specific row or a specific column then instead of finding it all over the whole data set, which is going to be very useful when you have maybe many rows, many columns, and you want to find just a specific column and want specific changes in a specific data in your data sets. Now, if you didn't watch part one, the link is going to be down in the description, and make sure to get your Oxen account so that you can follow along. And if you want to follow along with the documentation as well, which is exactly what I'm reading off of, then the link is in the description as well. So make sure to follow along. And yeah, let's get started. So continuing off of last video, I already have a dataset.csv, which if we look into it with, first off, we need to initialize Oxen. None of this will work if we don't initialize Oxen. So let's make a little local repo. Let's add and commit our data, because when we are using diff, we're comparing whatever changes we've made from the last commit. So if we haven't committed anything, then we don't have anything to compare off of. On top of that, you don't have to commit something if you have two separate data sets though. So since we only have one data set and we're going to be comparing different versions of it, I'm going to commit it first. Do something really, just first commit. Why not? All right, and once that's committed, I'm going to clear my terminal, and let's use Oxen.ai dataset.csv. And here we see I have a very simple data set with a prompt and category columns as I set up in the last video. And now I'm actually going to change the data set to this new one, where here, as you can see, instead of the categories being geography, like before we can actually see down here that the categories for every prompt was geography. Now I'm changing it to trivia. And what we're doing this for is to show you how if you modify whole rows and you're not let's say highlighting keys, if you're not featuring keys, you can still see every row that you've changed, but instead of it showing as modified, it will show as removed and added, which we can solve that really quickly. So first let's do I'm going to change it really quickly. All right, I'm back. I quickly changed the data set. So if we look here, instead of it being geography, we have trivia. So literally, we just changed that one part of that one row. Everything else is exactly the same as before. But if we use Oxen diff for data sets, it's a little bit farther down the video, we will see that we've added 3 rows because we did add an extra row as well. I forgot to mention that with the fastest land animal. And we've removed 2. But if we pay close attention, we actually haven't removed 2 rows. We've just changed the category and the string. And this is where our next step, featured keys, comes in handy. All right, so if instead of seeing an added and removed for the same row just with one specific column changed, we can now use the specify keys featured, which allows us to specify a specific column that we want to find differences in. And this will allow us to get, instead of an added and removed in 2 separate columns in the differences shape, we will see a modified status instead. So right now, let's use Oxen diff data. And the way we do this is by setting up a little key flag. So you could do -k, or you could do --keys. And once we use keys, then we'll be able to both do the same exact thing. And then now we need to specify whatever column we want to use as a specified key. So I'm going to use prompt. Since the prompt was the same, we only changed the category column, right? So if we press enter, now we realize, yes, we added a couple rows. Yes, we removed one, but we really modified one as well. So now instead of us getting what is the capital of Germany twice, we get what is the capital of Germany once. On the left, we get the old category, and on the right, we get the new category. So we see geography, trivia, and then we see the status, which is modified. Again, like I showed in the first video and the last one, this is not actually an added column that we add for you guys. This is just a column to visualize the status of the change. And in the future, you can use this when you're doing more data manipulation or data engineering to see how your data has been modified, manipulated, or changed over time with this status. All right, now before we go on to the next step, which is going to be adding columns and seeing how we can use diff to see these changes in the columns, make sure to add and commit your last changes, or else you won't be able to compare as precisely the changes that you've made. So in the last one we changed a couple rows, right? We changed the category column to change geography to trivia. I'm just going to commit that, so changed categories. Let's just make it super vague because we don't have to be super articulate now. But now when we go to, what we're going to do now is that we're going to add columns to the data set that we just did. So I'm just going to go here. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to copy this little, the updated data set. And again, this is after I just added and committed it, right? All right, and now that I've actually changed it, we can see in the data frame. Let's see a little data frame. We can see that the shape is now with 4 columns and 6 rows, right? So we added an ID, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have the prompt, we have the answer now, which we did not have before, which tells us the answer to whatever prompt we gave it. And we have the categories, which we did change a little bit because we also have different prompts as well, right? So quite a few things have changed from the last data set to this one. But now if we use the Oxen diff command without the keys, we don't really need that right now, we will see that we have all the new columns specified right here. So in the past when we had, let's see if we can find it. In the past when we were showing, here we go. In the past when we were showing different versions of the category, it had the older version on the left, newer version or current version on the right. Here, since there is no newer version, we just have the right or the newer version, right? Which is just perfect because we can see just from this .write command that we've added a whole column and the status shows modified for each row. Next, I'm going to specify what columns or what compares I want for my data. So instead of just having the whole data set, instead of having every column, I may want to highlight only specific columns and highlight specific other columns I want to compare, right? So in this case, I'm going to redo the data set. I'm going to remake the data set to include these different IDs and I believe the categories are changed. Some things haven't changed. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe the answer here, some prompts, but that's not really important. What's important is that I'm going to add the current data set that I have, right? So add, commit. Let's just do changed, let's do added columns. Added columns. Perfect. Now I'm going to clear the terminal so it looks a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. And I'm going to quickly come back after I've changed this data set. All right, I'm back. And if we look at the new data set, right, we see it's the same shape as before. It's just some of the questions have changed and some of the answers have changed as well. So now if we use Oxen diff data set and we just, let's say we flag the ID, I'm actually going to copy this exact older example. So here I'm specifying that the 2 columns I want to highlight as specific keys are ID and prompt, right? On top of that, I want to find comparisons in the changes of the answer column. So what I'm going to get is I'm going to get the ID and prompt columns and the different versions of the answer columns next to it. Perfect. So as we can see, we are missing the category column. Why? We didn't need it. We didn't ask for it. So instead of us getting that excess information, we see exactly what we wanted. So here we can see the IDs. Here we see the prompts. We don't even see the change in the prompts, even though we added some questions. The reason is because we did not specify that we want comparisons in that prompt. We want to keep these in as key, as specified keys, but we really wanted to compare the differences in was answer with this -c. I guess I should have been more clear. The -c is the compares flag, but you can also do, here, let me show you guys, Oxen diff, and instead of -c, we can also do -- compares. And we get the same exact thing. Now, you also can compare multiple rows, just like with the specified keys. But here we can see that we have 3 rows that have been modified, 1 that's been added, and 1 that's been removed. So we can see the ID, the prompt column, which have not been changed, like I said, and then we can see, or don't show the changes, right? The only changes that we're seeing are the answer column, which is before and after right here, and then the status of it. Now we can see that this is so much better than just using Oxen diff, Because if we just use diff, we're going to get all this excess information that we really do not need. You see, we're able to see that it was, we don't get the comparison of the before and after. We do see it added rows, removed rows. There's a lot more information. It's a little bit messier. It's great for different visualizations or seeing different differences. But with the specific type, even using, here, let me show you guys. Even using a key, like let's say we keep in the key of answers, right? It's not going to show us that comparison. Was it answer or answers? Answer, right? We're going to see an added and removed rows. It's not going to be as here, let me make it a little bigger. I guess this didn't work, but it's not going to be as specified or as specific or as precise as what we need it for with using the compares flag, right? So again, let's compare it to the old one. You see how much nicer this is? It's fewer rows, cleaner columns, fewer columns. We have modified instead of added and removed a bunch of times. And we're seeing the only column that we really cared about in this example, which was answer. All right, so now you have these changes, but what if you wanted to save the changes that you're seeing with diff? Easy. All you can do is Oxen.diff. You put the name of your data set, and then you're going to do another flag, which is -o. And what that's going to do is it's going to save the differences into a separate file and whatever file name you put after here. So let's do saved diff.csv. Perfect. And this will just show us the shape of saved diff. So now we have shape 8 rows, 5 columns. We have the ID, the prompt, the answer, the category, and the diff status, which you guys can use in a separate for more data calculations, whatever you guys need. So if you want to use these features, if you want free data, which we index and clean for you guys all from Hugging Face, and if you want to have very powerful data version control for, it could be a CSV or it could be millions of CSVs, videos, images, text, audio, whatever you guys have, Oxen's the perfect tool for that. And make sure to click the link down in the bio to get started now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see you in the next one.